What is up, YouTube? My name is Eben, and today is Farfetch'd Friday. And so we're going to take a look at the things that don't often get any credit, either for good reason or bad reason or somewhere in between. And we are going to look at Froslass. This Froslass is the one from Generations, and it has the drag-along ability. And if this Pokemon is active and gets knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, you get a coin toss chance of knocking their attacking Pokemon out too, which is huge. I mean, number one, it could just snatch you one or two free prizes just for getting your 90 HP Froslass knocked out, which is only worth one prize itself. But it's also a huge psychological value because your opponent now has to ask questions like, should I knock it out? Should I not? Should I burn this Lysandre now just to avoid having to KO the Froslass? Or is it not worth the risk? Is it worth the risk? It's a big way to mess with your opponent's head, which can lead them to make bad decisions, which is your advantage. We're going to run 4 of this Froslass, but it's not just for its drag-along ability. It does also have this nice 3 colorless energy attack Snowy Drop, which allows you to put 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon any way you want. So you can pile them all up on one Pokemon, or you can distribute them in different ways. You can put 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 on another Mon. You can put 2 here, 1 there, however you please. Meaning you can not waste extra damage counters to pick up knockouts and things that are almost gone, and you can also perfectly set things up for knockouts with other Pokemon. And that's a pretty important thing to remember. Also, it doesn't actually need any water energy for any of that, which is also pretty cool, which means we can pair it with something that's not necessarily water type. We are going to run 4 of this just freaking awesome artwork Snorunt to support our Frostlasses. And the support Mon we've gone for is one who's actually going to let us do some attacking with our Froslass. So we're going to opt for Mega Manectric. Now, I know, I use Mega Manectric a lot, but that's partially because Mega Manectric is just that good, or at least he is in my book. And the idea here is you can bring Mega Manectric in here. We're going to really try to capitalize on Lysandre here, by the way. This thing easily picks up all kinds of cool knockouts. It has Free Retreat, which makes it a great pivot into, say, things like Froslass, but it can also help power up Froslass pretty easily, and doesn't mind if Froslass gets knocked out, taking a bunch of energy with it, since we can just bring Mega Man back in, Turbo Bolt, and put those energy right back to work on somebody else. All while only requiring 2 energy itself. So Mega Manectric is a really good addition to Froslass, and its 210 HP don't hurt. And one more thing that makes him a beautiful match is Manectric EX, because its Overrun attack, which puts 20 on a benched Pokemon as well as 20 to the active Mon, combines brilliantly with Froslass's attack, which distributes damage counters to the bench. So we can really just rack up damage in all kinds of annoying and very detrimental ways for our opponents. So pretty amazing combo so far. And we're going to support it with a pretty typical support suite you've seen by now. I like to use this suite a lot. 1 Hoopa EX because we're going to be looking for that Mega. We're going to be looking for Shamans to support, and we're going to run those Shamans because they're just they take up a lot less space than the Octillery, and that's kind of the bottom line for us. So those 3 Mons. And lastly, we do have 2 backup attackers, and those are Jolteon EX and Glaceon EX. Second Bite on Glaceon goes well with Froslass, and Crystal Ray can be a great way to lock out opponents like Vespiquen. And Jolteon EX, well, pretty much the other half of the Glaceon coin, the ability to block non-evolved Pokemon. And Swift, of course, can punch through just about any Mon, which is great since it gets past things like Carbink and Regice to a degree, although Regice wants nothing to do with Froslass, because that's a losing battle for Regice pretty much all the time. And that's awesome for us, because Regice does not want to knock himself out just after having to hit for 70, and then, oh, now I might just knock myself out, and I let 80 damage go on my bench. So, pretty cool suite of Pokemon there. We're going to support it with 4 copies of Sycamore, because we don't mind sending some energies to the discard pile for our Mega Manectric, and we got plenty of Frostlasses and Snowrunts to go around, so we don't have to worry too much about discarding them. Just a really good draw card we can capitalize on here. We are going to run 2 Ns, partially to help save our evolutions, but also it's a great way to ruin our opponents, and we want to draw lots of cards. It's just, you know, it's N. It's just that good. We're going to be running 2 copies of Lysandre because once again, we want to capitalize on our ability to spread damage to the bench and then pick up knockouts with Mega Manectric, and also force our opponent into unusual and bad decisions like forcing up something that can knock out Froslass. Now do they pay to retreat? Do they go ahead and take the risk of the knockout, etc.? So definitely double Lysandres. And our last supporter is AZ, and this is, I'll be honest with you, in large part due to Hoopa, because we don't want Hoopa to be in that active slot. If our opponent Lysandres it up, we kind of want a nice, easy way to deal with it. But of course, you can also save mons if you want with this, and the energy going to the discard pile doesn't really matter when you've got Mega Manectric hanging around. In our items, we're going to run 4 Ultra Balls, because ditching energies for us isn't necessarily bad, and we can afford to ditch a couple extra mons if we have to, but it's a great way to search up Hoopa, etc. We're also going to be running 4 copies of Versus Seeker, more standard support that's just too good not to run in pretty much everything, frankly. We're going to run 2 Battle Compressors to ditch the appropriate supporters for us for our Versus Seekers, and also a few energies to make sure Mega Man is happy. We could run 3, but honestly, we're running plenty of Trainer's Mails, so 2 is really all we need. The extra ones often, you don't really do that much with them in game, so I'm cutting back to 2 myself. The card is about to cycle out anyway, but I've just kind of found that that's really kind of less is more with that card. We're going to run 3 Manectric Spirit Links, 1 for each of our Megas, just to make sure we've got that covered. We're running 3 copies of Trainer's Mail. This is just consistency there. That card's pretty self-explanatory, I suppose. We're going to run 1 copy of Super Rod that can restock our Frostlasses if we need to, and of course it can also get us extra Mega Mans back if we need that, and stuff like that there. Or if you really want to, if the matchup is right, you can also use it to get back your Jolteon and or Glaceon if you need to, if it gets knocked out somehow, but it's still a really powerful defense for us. And last but not least, we are going to run 3 Rough Seas as our stadium. Now, it might seem counterintuitive for a deck that wants to hit the bench, but remember that this only helps opponents who are water and electric, and if you know that's what you're playing against, well, you don't have to play this card if you don't want to, although chances are good that's going to be their stadium anyway, but hey, then you can just burn it to your Sycamores and Ultra Balls. So, not a big deal, really. What this is actually a nice defense against Greninja, because Greninja is not our best friend, as it too easily knocks out our Frostlasses. So this can make Froslass just a little bit harder for our opponents to get rid of, and they really have to focus on them one at a time to pick them off with their abilities, and that's fine with us because that gives us a little more leeway to do other things to our opponent and kind of put the pressure on with our other attackers. So it's basically here just to make sure our opponents have to knock out Froslass with a dedicated attack, and sneaky kind of backwards ways of knocking them out don't really work because we can heal up little bits of damage from things like bats and so on. Our energies are going to be 4 double colorless energy because so many things in the deck really do love double colorless energy, not least of which is Froslass. And we're going to be opting for 6 lightning energies. We don't need a lot of energies in particular in the deck, really, but we want to make sure that we got the right energies and that we can power up our Mega Manectric pretty consistently. So we are opting for those 6 lightnings to make sure we can kind of hit that when we need to. We don't have to dig super, super deep just to be able to power it up. And we are running 2 water energy, even though Froslass doesn't need it. Our 1 copy of Glaceon does, and we want to make sure that our 1 doesn't get prized in a crucial matchup. So we're running these as, after all, generally speaking, our basic energies don't matter too much as long as we've got at least 1 lightning on our Mega Manectric. So, like I say, it's not really going to hurt us to run that second one for insurance, so it's just kind of, it's just a good play. Anyway, that is the deck. It's a lot of fun to play with Froslass, and it's interesting to watch your opponent squirm. So you know what? It's Farfetch'd Friday. Have some Farfetch'd fun. And I'm going to get out of here, so until next time, like, comment, subscribe, trip me out on Twitter. Link is below, as always, and I will see you next time.